Alicia Norman here with
Nicole.
And we are all
fired up.
So I know today Nicole had a bunch of things she wanted to talk about, especially some things that were going on in Illinois. But before she goes, I want her to show you her magnificent nail mastery here.
Ooh, this is me. I do my own nails.
She does her own nails, and that looks so awesome. I told her when I go down to Chicago, I'm gonna want to get my nails done.
For sure. You know it. I got a big stack thing coming, so I can put all of my stuff in one spot. So we'll be good.
So what's the big news coming out of Illinois?
So today I found out that the Supreme Court in Illinois went ahead and upheld the assault rifle ban. So I'm really excited about that. Living here in Illinois, last year we had a mass shooting on the 4th of July.
Oh,
probably about a half hour, 45 minutes away. So it was very scary, and just hearing that news today kind of just really it kind of warmed my soul.
And I would have to wonder what would happen, like, say a couple of years from now, what the crime stats would look like just from that kind of action being done, because that's the biggest thing when you hear gun rights. The people who are into the 2A folks, they're always like, oh, it's not going to really do anything. You're just taking, rights from the citizens, and the criminals are going to have guns and be armed to the teeth. But we find that in countries that actually have some common sense gun regulations, they don't have the kind of shootings and massacres and all this crap that we have here.
Well, not to mention when I think it was Clinton was in office, we had a 10-year assault rifle ban.
Right.
And it made a huge difference. I saw stats. I don't know them offhand, so I don't want to give any information out, but there were huge differences in our crime and just mass shootings.
Yeah, and I think that Illinois will be one to watch. And the other places that have these bans, I would love to see what comes up in the next couple of years as far as their crime stats.
Yeah.
And I'm no clairvoyant or anything, but I'm willing to bet that you will see a decrease in certain types of crime.
Absolutely.
It's just a given.
Yeah.
The other thing that we were looking at, what was the other one?
The story out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
The big news, astounding news out of Ohio, that there was a no vote on issue 1, which it was a 57-43 split. And this derailed Republican-led initiatives that would require 60% majority in order to update their constitution instead of the regular 50%. So that was really exciting to hear. This is coming as the expected abortion rights ballot initiative is to come up in the November elections. So
exactly,
super happy about that.
I was like stoked to see that, because everyone's eyes were on Ohio, and what we know is that if that initiative had passed in favor of Republicans, they would have been domino effect type laws in different districts, but they wanted to see how these would go over. And what they're learning is, in spite of them thinking that they have a huge Republican base in an area, that even some Republicans are like, oh,
it was when it comes to some stuff.
Yeah, because people are like, no, we're not going to do this. I think it was Arkansas and Kansas that codified abortion rights in their state's constitutions and all this stuff, and by huge majorities, because I think even though they may lean conservative in some ways, most people are socially liberal in others.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some guy might be thinking to himself, okay, if my 10-year-old daughter gets raped by a dude, first of all, you never find that dude again. He'll be in a swamp. But then the next thing is, she's going to get an abortion, and she's not going to be penalized. You're not locking her up. This is what people are thinking.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have my baby carrying no rapist baby. No.
Exactly. These people are freaking crazy, and the
Yeah.
insanity is what's good. What, but I think we were talking about the other day. My biggest fear is they're going to see they're losing on this front.
Yeah.
They're going to see that their disinformation is not working. They're going to see all this
Mm.
stuff. So when the
One
election comes
advocate.
closer, we need to start looking at. I was thinking about creating a T-shirt that says "Be vigilant."
Yeah.
And selling it somewhere here because we have to be because my biggest fear is that they're going to say okay, now it's time for some real tomfoolery, and
Mhm.
that's going to involve people getting hurt. They're going to take with violence what they can't do with democracy.
Right. And one caveat is I think that they're going to find out too late because they have stuck to this abortion front, being pro-life, and they consistently are habitual rake steppers when it comes to every election since 2018.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been like that, and that's been when they started, I think, pushing the pro-life initiative a little
Hmm.
harder.
Hmm. And that's because they're in the
So we'll
pocket.
see.
When Reagan decided, hey, Christian nationalists, jump into our bed, he set the place where they are
Oh
right now
yeah,
in the world to their self destruction. And all the hand waving and all the stuff they used to do back then isn't
yeah,
working because today's population is a little less religious. It's a little bit more educated, which is why they're going after education.
yep,
And so they're trying all the crazy, carnival show, carnival barker stuff that used to work and it's not working anymore. And
exactly.
that's why now I know that their last resort is that because if they're willing to do all that for power, they're willing to go all the way.
Yeah,
All the way. But
all
I
the
was
way.
glad to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Now I know that you've had a couple of items that you wanted to discuss today.
Well, the biggest thing was so David Brooks from the New York Times came out with an article called "Are We Really the Bad Guys?" And it was basically trying to paint MAGA Trumpers in this really sort of, but they're poor lost souls, and I was
Um,
having none of it. I read this thing. He paints like liberals are all lattes, Starbucks latte sipping, elites. And these guys are the salt of the earth. And I remember reading this going, first of all, I'm a girl from the hood. I'm from the Atlanta hood,
same.
girl.
I grew up
I ain't
on the south
no
side of Chicago.
so I'm like, what the hell
Hey,
is this dude talking about?
like I've told you personally, like my influences growing up were older, strong black women, girls. So like I grew up in the same type of upbringing that you did. Like we don't take no stuff.
I don't take no stuff. I'm definitely not. I mean, I love me a mocha latte, but I
Right,
don't
but
think
that's not
that
like I
either.
love pumpkin spice latte, but I'm a pumpkin spice girl, but that don't mean I'm a pumpkin spice girl.
And then that's the thing that kind of aggravated me. I'm reading this thing and I'm like, can you pull out every trope and stereotype? If I tried to write a
Yeah.
script for Hollywood with this many tropes and stuff, it'd be tossed out by my manager. So I'm just sitting here looking at all this stuff and reading what he's saying, and I just see he's trying to rehabilitate their image. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I got a running list because he's like, is the liberal left the bad guys? I'm
No.
like, we would be the bad guys if we were, I don't know, raising razor wire on the Rio Grande and pushing pregnant women into the river. We would
Right,
probably be the bad guys if we were trying to sell the idea that slavery was some kind of good time, happy time place for slaves. Maybe
yeah,
we'd be the bad guy if we were trying to tell 10-year-olds how to rape babies. I was like, but you
right.
know what? We're not doing that. You know who's doing that the other side. So if we're going to pick out who's going to be the bad guy here, I think I know who the bad guy is.
And may I just say I saw a video on a podcast I was watching earlier today. I saw pictures of those buoys, and they literally have what looks like a saw in between them, and what it is it's meant to grab onto whatever it can and drag you under the water.
So they don't just have the thing to keep them out.
Right.
They're actively
They
creating.
razor wired like the dock the what is it called, the banks, the river banks, and they're using these buoys, and the water's only like 5 foot high, so all they're seeing is the tops of these buoys. Like,
That is so.
Greg Abbott needs to be arrested
He needs to be arrested for murder. I know
for a
there's some
lot of
people on the right
things.
who likes to think brown people aren't human. They are. And when you kill a human, you're a murderer. And he needs to go to
Exactly.
jail. And the people supporting this stuff are accomplices. And what I was trying to get off of the David Brooks thing was that, you know, if you're going to ask which side is worse, okay, there's things that I would say I don't always agree with things on the left. Okay, there's
Right.
certain things, but I think that we're a party where we can disagree. We can say, hey, I don't like this. Can we do this? And that formats sort of a positive experience where we can
Right.
have
We
ideas.
compromise.
We don't fall in the lockstep like
Right.
freaking Nazis and stuff.
Like you said, we fall in love, they fall in line.
They do without question, and then they try to say we're in a cult. Yeah, I'm not draping myself in Biden paraphernalia, honey. Who is doing that? It ain't me.
That cracks me up whenever they're like, "Where's your Biden flag? Where's your Biden hat?" I'm like, first of all, it's an off year for elections with your Trump flag. Plus, even during like the one thing I ever had was it was an Obama and Biden sticker that was on like a notebook that I carried to my doctor's office. But like we don't do that.
And like I said,
We don't idolize. Good
Right.
example is the commenter I was telling you about saying, "Are you sure Democrats aren't in a cult?" Like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, we base our information in truth and facts, not what dear leader tells us is
And
the
I know there's
truth.
one podcaster who would always say that if Biden tomorrow put up a QAnon meme, we're out of here.
Done.
And I would be because I'm
Me
not
too.
in that mess. I have a
Me
mind to
too.
read. I'm not going to go, well, dear leader says it's okay now.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's not dear leader. That's Mr. President.
And here's my thing. That's what I find scary about the right. They keep trying to say we're in this cult, but I know for a fact that if tomorrow, the Orange Menace starts saying, "Hey, now let's marry all our 10-year-old children," and they would go, "Okay," because that's what they do. They slavishly devoted to this man. He could do nothing wrong, and that's sick and twisted, and that's the difference. And it's sad they don't understand that. You know?
Absolutely. Not to mention, and this brings me to another point I know you wanted to talk about, was that gentleman from Utah.
Yeah.
Like, if we were the ones in a cult.
Yeah, the dude hears Donald Trump crying at a rally and decides he wants to go and try to threaten the dude. And then when the FBI shows up, and they actually tried to send a drone to the guy to kind of, and he shoots that all the hell and back. But I have to read reports because people don't they love them a conspiracy theory. So it's already a conspiracy theory that no, I'm like, because what they just pick some random dude's name in a phone book and say, we're gonna kill this dude in Utah today. What the frick? What happened to people using their reasoning and critical thinking skills?
I don't think so. By the way, everybody, look at our pretty mics. We're getting.
I love that mic. Mine's all pink and stuff. It's got the little thingy on it.
We're getting more professional up in here.
We're trying our bestest. But do you know what I'm saying? I think what aggravates me is true to fashion. And I was like, countdown 3, 2, 1 before they start to coddleize. I think it was the New York Post called him a cuddly teddy bear who took care of his blind son. I said, well, he should have cared more about his blind son enough not to be threatening the president of the United States online.
Cuddly teddy bear in a ghillie suit and a sniper rifle with a sharpshooter cast. Yeah, no.
So now he's a freedom fighter. And now he's But think about how they did with Ashley Babbitt. They made
I know.
And now he's going to be a freedom fighter. And it's just like, you're just saying to yourself, dude, a black man can't even cross the street to get a candy bar without a million cops rappelling out the sky to beat his ass, beat his butt. But then you got like these guys who they kill up schools, they kill up people, they shoot 50 people at a concert. And people are like, what happened to the poor deer? what in the world are we doing to these people that I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, no thanks.
No.
I don't believe in it. I don't
Mm-mm.
espouse to it. No,
Mm-mm.
and we definitely are the better. I should say better.
Better,
That's
better,
bad
better, good.
English. I'm the we definitely are the better of the two because we don't try killing our um FBI
Mm-hmm.
or our president
Mm-mm.
or, anybody we disagree with.
Yeah, we'll disagree. We try to beat them with policy. We try to beat them with strategy. We
Try
try
to
to beat them with
beat them with
campaigns
truth.
and beat them with truth. They know that their ideas are whack. They know they
Yeah,
have not a leg to stand on. So they have to resort to violence because that's all they got.
yeah,
Nothing else.
basically.
And speaking of, I wanted to go back to you reached out to a friend of yours regarding a campaign he's going to start that
I
I've been
did.
pushing for a while. When we first started talking about cameras in the courtroom,
Yeah,
a lot of people naysayed it, including some individuals whose names should not be mentioned. Oh, it'll never happen. Federal judges don't like that. But I'm like, you know what? I think if we really thought about it, we could probably get cameras in the courtroom when it comes to these cases because we absolutely need to have that. With Nixon and Watergate,
mhm.
his approval ratings went down tremendously when cameras were in the courtroom. If these you and I both know that if we don't have cameras in the courtroom, what's going to happen? What are the Republicans in the mainstream
Fake
media?
news.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I think we need them. I think we should demand them, and I think that's kind of what Glenn wants to do. So, I reached out to a friend of mine, Glenn Kirschner. He's a former federal prosecutor out of DC, and he is starting an initiative, a call to action, actually, regarding what I think is, like we said, so important about showing MAGA the truth about the election and the fact that there was no fraud to overturn our
mm-hmm,
election results. Glenn has a great idea as we, the people, are victims to count four, which is the defrauding of or I think it was our conspiracy against our civil rights.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that idea is, again, like I said, cameras in the courtroom. So um similar to like it's for the January 6th case, but similar to the January 6th commission, we really need to do that. And now I'm going to give you a word from my friend Glenn, and he's going to explain what that initiative is.
Glenn Kirschner here. So friends, today's video is going to include a little bit of a call to action. And I hope you all will consider answering that call. I'm going to keep this video as simple and as straightforward and frankly as short as I can. In attempting to steal the 2020 presidential election, Donald Trump tried to rob us, the American voters, of the full value of our vote. The voters, particularly in the battleground states, are victims of Donald Trump's crimes. This can be seen most clearly in count 4 of Donald Trump's new criminal indictment, the one that was just handed down by a grand jury in Washington, D.C. Count 4 reads, from on or about November 14th, 2020, through on or about January 20, 2021, in the District of Columbia and elsewhere, the defendant, Donald J. Trump, did knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators, known and unknown to the grand jury, to injure, oppress, threaten, and intimidate one or more persons in the free exercise and enjoyment of a right and privilege secured to them by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, that is, the right to vote and to have one's vote counted. So, 1, the American voters, particularly in the battleground states, are the victims of Donald Trump's crimes. 2, under the federal law, crime victims have rights. legal rights, statutory rights, including the right to be present in the courtroom during the trial. That right can be found in the Crime Victims' Rights Act, what we call the Victims' Bill of Rights. It's at Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 3771, yes, in the big, ugly blue book of crimes, the United States Criminal Code. And here is the operative section that gives victims the right to be present during the trial. Rights of crime victims. A crime victim has the following rights. Let me start with number 1, the right to be reasonably protected from the accused. Do you feel like you've been reasonably protected from Donald Trump? Let me jump to number 3. The right not to be excluded from any public court proceeding. And then there's an exception that doesn't apply in this case. So crime victims, the victims of Donald Trump's election crimes, have a right, a legal right, a statutory right, not to be excluded from the courtroom, not to be excluded from the trial. Courtrooms can only accommodate about 50 to 100 attendees in the audience. The only way that right can be honored, the right not to be excluded from the proceedings in which you are a victim, the only way to fulfill that right, that legal statutory right, is to televise the trial. Because that will be the functional equivalent of giving all of the crime victims, all of the voters in the United States, the right to be present, the right to see the trial in real time, the right not to be excluded. So here's what we're going to do, friends. I'm going to put a paragraph in the description of this video, and you can cut and paste it or block and copy it or whatever it is we do these days with the computer machine, and you can send it to all of your elected representatives. You can text it, you can email it, you can print it out and put it in snail mail. And you can send it to your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, and urge them to send it to their elected representatives. Let your lawmakers know that you want to exercise your legal rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. Your right not to be excluded from the courtroom, from the proceedings, from the trial involving your victimization as an American voter, my victimization, our victimization by Donald Trump. We are all, statutorily speaking under the CVRA, victims of Donald Trump's crimes.
Okay, and we will have the verbiage listed in our description that he mentions in that clip you just watched.
Yes. And I just want to put out a personal appeal to Glenn if he's watching this that, I just, as a Georgia resident and as a Black woman, I was horrified to see what was unfolding. It was emotionally devastating to me to see it. Even my husband, he would be able to say, yeah, I was highly upset about what I was
Yeah.
seeing, knowing that people with who were armed were going to certain polling stations, knowing that this is supposed to be about election integrity, and yet they're not going to the burbs to go and see if the counts. I mean,
Right, it was
the,
only those neighbor.
it was the only in
It
areas that
was
had.
only like black and brown neighborhoods that they were going to, saying
Yeah,
to
and,
stop
and
the
I had to hear
count.
people say things like, well, that's because they're urban areas. No, 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 honey. No, don't come at me with that mess. It's not because they're urban areas, it's because those areas have Black people in it. Urban areas happen to have Black people in them. And when I would see these people going after poll workers, they were Black poll workers. Look at the Shay Moss thing. Look what's
Mm-hmm.
going on with Ruby Freeman.
Miss
Rudy
Ruby, yeah,
Ruby Freeman. Yeah. So we know there was dog whistles there about how you can't trust the Black folks and their votes and they're all
right.
criminals and all
And
this stuff.
may
Yeah.
I also add that it is not just rural parts that make up
Mm-hmm.
Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Georgia that was attempting to be disenfranchised, not just the urban areas.
So I
But
took that extremely personally. I was extremely upset for a long time. This
absolutely.
is what galvanized me to go out there and say, "Hey, I mean, I vote, but this was the first time I was like, you know what? I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to make some calls. I'm going to do all kinds of stuff because I was so upset, and I'm still upset about it. I
Yep.
feel like yes, I was victimized. My voice. They tried to suppress my voice and my people's vote, and no one else's, and they know that." Because they can't tell me. I ask people who support this stuff. I want them to tell me the places that they knew that were suburban and white or largely white that got that count.
Yeah.
Because they mean to tell me that they think the only valid votes were for Trump, or that they think all of America voted for Trump, including myself. You know, what are they trying to say with this? Because it doesn't make sense on its face, and they know it. And that's why they
Mhm.
want to, Trump's all like, I think Jack Smith recently said, "Hey, I want a January trial date." You
Yeah.
remember that? And then Trump's like, "Whoa, wait a minute." And I'm like, wait, honey,
Oh, wait, didn't you
the
want this
thing.
to,
Didn't
didn't
you
you want
want
this
this done?
done?
You want it done before the election? You should
Right.
be all happy to get an early
Please.
date.
He
You all
doesn't want it done
innocent.
until after, because then he can pardon
Mm,
himself if he so-called went to it.
exactly.
She ain't gonna,
Well,
but
my thing is, look, if you go and you get it out, boom, boom, you prove your innocence, and you don't have to worry about it while you're campaigning. Go
right.
for it.
That's
He know he
right. Go
guilty.
court.
They know he
That's
guilty. They
right.
know he guilty too. That's why they mad about it too. His fan base, his fanboys and girls, they should
Mm.
be clamoring for an early trial. They should be
Oh,
clamoring for the
absolutely.
cameras. They should be like, "We'll prove him innocent," but they know he's guilty. They know he's guilty. So what they're trying to do is move the goalposts. Well, he's guilty, but no,
Yeah.
that's not he's guilty, but.
That's two things they're good at, is being habitual rake steppers and habitual goalpost movers.
You would think they would be really tough from all the head banging and
I'm telling you, all,
moving.
moving all them heavy goalposts. You think that their
I
backs would be
know.
hurting as much as mine?
Get them babies some Gatorade. They probably tired.
Mm. See, you think I was joking about my nickname? I got this.
I love that. I love that. Regress. Where did that come from? If you don't mind me asking, where did that come from?
So my husband's gamer tag is something that has Reaper in it.
Mm.
And I'm, as you can see, full of tattoos. And mine started out as Tatted Reaperess. And then our friends just started calling me Reaperess, and that just kind of stuck over time.
And I love that. I love that. That is
Thanks.
so cool.
I actually have her tattooed on me.
Oh,
Yeah, I might have to show you that off camera.
like, okay.
Yeah,
I gotta know we want to ask him.
it's on like my upper hip. So sorry,
Mhm.
guys. I might post a picture, but you're not gonna get the live video. So just really quickly before we move on to our dun 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 news segment, is there
Mhm.
anything else that you want to talk about before we hit these the the
I'm
main?
actually eager to get the commentary of the day. Um, of the two comments, the runner up and the very
Oh,
big one.
okay. Let's get to it. So we have a new segment that we came up with called Dumb Asses Comments of the Week. So runner up, no surprise, they are both Republicans. So but the runner up goes to John Eastman's lawyer, Charles Burnham. So while he was trying to defend Eastman regarding the election on Ari Melber's show, Ari Melber asked him if Trump lost the election. And Burnham said, well, a large portion of the country had issues with the 2020 election. And then Ari immediately and without missing a step said, well, a large portion of the country believes in ghosts and horoscopes. I'm asking you if Trump lost. And when he tried to deflect yet again, Ari said, well, look, if you can't answer it, I have more questions. And my favorite thing about that is that he had to go to the habitual, well, a large portion. Well, I wonder why a large portion of the country has a problem
Mhm.
with the election. But that just always gets to me. Is like hearing like, well, don't deflect. Yes or
Yeah.
no question.
They're scared of what they used to be scared of him. Now they see him like lying in the dirt there. And the federal society itself is like, all right, we need the 14th Amendment this dude because he's being a liability. When you've lost the Federalist
Yeah,
Society,
2 lawyers from the Federalist Society.
they're like,
That's
oh
something
no,
we can
bro.
discuss here real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
2 lawyers from the Federalist Society came out saying that how the 14th Amendment was written and how it is understood to be, that Trump should be ineligible to even run for president, let alone win presidency.
Yes.
And when you see far-ish right, far right, Federalist Society lawyers coming out saying that, I think they're starting to see that you're right.
Mhm.
He's a liability.
Well, even
He's
Bo with the fifth column, and
definitely a
that's why I love
liability.
Bo. Bo's analysis has been dead on, and he himself
Yes.
said this. He said, "Yeah, look for them to start throwing that man under the bus." And sure enough, they threw that man. They
For
throw him under the bus,
sure.
reversing, coming back. You know,
Yes.
yeah, I figured that would happen. And then you
Oh
look at
yeah.
people like Boris Epstein, who just recently got his butt arrested, accosting
Oh,
women in a nightclub because that's how
right.
the
He was
people
like
that he.
molesting them and stuff. I heard the video, the video of it. I saw the video of it, and this girl explained, like, she was describing Boris as the Tony Soprano looking dude. Or the Sopranos looking dude. I'm like, that fits so well. That's like Tony Soprano if he ate way too many Cheetos.
I like rolling. And this is the people, these are the people who he surrounds himself with. Birds of a feather flock together, don't they?
Oh
It's like
yeah.
everybody, they're child molesters and semi rapists and sexual assaulters. I'm like,
Yes.
you hang around, but we're supposed to expect out of all these criminals,
Yeah.
he's the innocent Jesus like one to save the
Oh
world.
my
Yeah, but y'all
god.
not in a cult though. Y'all not in a cult.
Right.
I can't stand it.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Oh, going right on to the winner of the dumbass of the week comment goes to none other than Donald Trump. As he continues to escalate his personal attacks on prosecutors, judges, witnesses, and their friends and family members. Recently in New Hampshire, the sweaty and bronzified sedition leader went after the next DA up for a new Trump indictment, Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis. What he happened to say, which is what makes him the dumbass of the week, is that there's a young racist in Atlanta. She ended up having an affair with the head of a gang or a gang member. This is a person who wants to indict me. She has a lot of problems.
So many dog whistles in one sentence.
I'm
And
telling you.
it's disgusting. But you know what? There was shortly after that, she basically told her department, like, look, don't go out and defend me. Don't say
Right?
anything. Because she is
She's
tough
like
as
a page and a
nails.
half. Yes.
She is tough as nails. She's like, that ain't bothering me. It's
She's
like,
like,
oh, I'm gonna let that man insult me. I don't care what he got to
yeah.
say. That's
She's
how
like,
you
do
do it.
not defend me. Do not worry. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good. I got nothing to worry about. So
Yeah.
yeah, she doesn't care. She put a statement out right after that.
Yeah. So
And
that's my thing. It's like, you know what? She's tough as nails. She's unflappable. She's probably used them worse than the Cheeto.
what I found just it took me back is that she shared maybe a page of the type of attacks
Hmm.
that she's been getting
Yeah.
since with her people. And that's when she said, do not worry about me. Do not feel the need to come to my rescue. Do not feel the need to defend me. She's like, we are here to do a job and we will get it done.
That's my girl. And that's how you do it.
That's
You know,
right.
thin skin, Orange Menace and his cult, they constantly run around crying. When we lose, we're gonna do a civil war. And they just crying and shit. And here she is. She's like, I'm just gonna do my job, pedal to the metal. We do everything we ain't worried about. Because that's how professionals and adults deal with stuff in the real world.
Exactly. And that's just another example that we are not the ones in a cult. It's like, because if we lose, we're like,
Dang.
I
Well,
guess
we need
we'll-
to fight harder.
right, I guess we need to fight harder next time.
Yeah. But anyway, girl.
uh, after that being said, that was kind of the end of the information that I had for today. Is there anything else you need to add?
Just that to reiterate that if you guys are interested in trying to get cameras in the courtroom, Glenn Kirschner gave us the snippet that we're going to put it in the description. You can make a copy of that, write your congressman, call your congressman, because I think it is absolutely essential, since we were all victimized by the shenanigans and chicanery of not only Trump, but the people who supported Trump, that we are all victims in this, and that we all deserve to be in that courtroom.
Yeah, I think it's the only way we will honestly wake up a lot of the people that are
Yes.
still under the spell.
They have to see it. There are always going to be people, no matter what, holding on to their Trump
Although
plush.
I'm sure Fonnie will be releasing some of that information too.
Yes. I know she's not gonna.
And she's gonna have cameras.
Yeah, I think she'll definitely have cameras. But yeah, I think we're all victimized. So, Glenn, again, thank you so much for
Yes,
that
thank you, sir.
information. And you guys, we love y'all. And we are definitely going to be coming back again on Friday. And you got any last words there, Reapers?
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right, guys. Bless y'all. And we are still all fired up.
You gotta help me
Love
out with
y'all.
it.
Bye.
Bye.